If you want to be a successful grower, whether it be in the nursery when you're growing your young plants on to bed out into your flower beds, or if you're container gardening throughout the season, it's vital that you feed. Everybody's heard of the NPK, nitrogen, potash, potassium, and those, along with micronutrients and magnesium, but they are your main three ingredients in all your quality plant feeds. Now, most good nurseries will stock all the three different mixtures. So you have an high nitrogen. The high nitrogen predominantly feeds the leaf. You've got your potassium, which predominantly feeds the flowers, and then you've got your potash, which predominantly feeds your roots and new shoots. So if you're growing, you start with your phosphorus or your potash, and that creates a lovely, nice, squat, short plant, healthy root system, pushing out the roots and the shoots. Once you've got an established plant, then you can move on to your nitrogen, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a nice, strong, healthy plant. We've already got the root system. What we're trying to do now is we're trying to promote leaf growth. The stronger the plant, the better the plant. If you've got a nice, strong, healthy plant, it's going to benefit later on in the year, and you're going to get more blooms throughout the season. If you want to then promote your blooms, once it's in full bloom, we want to promote them, get the colours more striking, then you go to an high potassium feed. You can switch between these feeds throughout the season, but if you stick to that main, you'll as soon as they've gone out, you'll start with your nitrogen, then to your potassium, switch back to your nitrogen again just to give them a little late season boost, back to your potassium for end of season. And again, when you're growing annuals, we know the frost's going to come and kill them. We know they're only going to last a year. But if they're not still looking healthy and vibrant in October, then you're doing something wrong. And the main thing that people do wrong is they don't feed. Most nurseries, most garden centres will stock a really good selection of feeds. The benefit of liquid feeding, as opposed to putting CRF, which is a controlled release fertiliser within your compost, the CRF activates on temperature, it activates on moisture levels, but you've no control. It's just gonna leach into the soil, and your plant's going to take up what it needs as and when. What we're doing is we're basically force feeding it. If I start to get predominantly yellow leaves, again, the plant's telling you it's in some kind of distress and it's needing some attention. If I were to feed that plant with an high nitrogen feed, within 7 days it would start to resemble that one. So it's 7 days effect when you liquid feed. When you CRF, you're relying so much on temperature and moisture levels. So by all means put your CRF in, but still add your liquid feed throughout the season. But just be aware, when we say liquid fertiliser, don't liquid fertilise your flower beds. Absolute waste of time. Only when you've containerised your plants do we liquid feed. Well, the reason, if you're in open ground and you're liquid fertilising, you're putting your water down, and the plant, obviously, it will take up some. But when you're out in open ground, what you want is you want to use a leaching fertiliser. Grow more, bloodfish and bone, they're your best ones, nice, equally balanced. But again, when I've talked about the nitrogen, the potash, potassium, if you want a high nitrogen burst, dried blood, 46 parts nitrogen, absolute superb source of nitrogen for your plants. But the way your leaching fertilisers work is the nutrients are broken down by the weather. The soil particles hold on to the nutrients and your plant takes it up as and when it needs it. If you're using a liquid fertiliser, going around your garden and you're watering it, there's a nice little 3-in-1 feeder for Miracle Growth, great little device to have. You're watering, the water's going to evaporate, but it's going to take the fertiliser away with it. But as leaching fertiliser, the soil particles hold on to it. So remember, when you're liquid fertilising, it's just your pots, your hanging baskets and all your containers. Open ground fertilising, bloodfish and bone, grow more, and whatever variation we've got on that. Sulphate of potash, dried blood. So this is a plant that hasn't been fed. It's just been put in the compost. It's about 5-6 weeks in the pot. As you can see, it's very weak root system. Plant, the leaf itself has started to go yellow because it's just lacking the nitrogen. It's exhausted all its feed in the compost. And it's also started to push flowers out. It's because the plant's going into panic mode. It knows it's in trouble. And so what it wants to do, it just needs to flower. If it doesn't flower, it don't get pollinated. If it don't get pollinated, the plant becomes extinct. This is the self-same plant, but this one has been fed. And as you can see, an immediate difference. We've got a nice, strong, healthy root system. We've got a lovely dark green foliage, and the plant's just coming into bud. That's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I'm looking for in a plant at this time of year. And if I just put these two plants together, again, the self-same plant, they've been grown 2 foot away. It's just one's been fed and one hasn't. So the importance of feeding is absolutely vital if you want to be a successful grower. If you're in any doubt, obviously you can find us on Facebook. You can put some comments below. We'll answer you any queries or any questions you've got. But the best way to be a successful grower and a successful gardener is to fertilise.